Welcome to our weekly Quick Fire Friday podcast. I'm the host, Rob Cameron. In less than 20 minutes a week, we'll give you an introduction to an expert or business owner with deep experience in what they do. We'll leave you with at least one action you can implement in your business immediately.
Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Tony Delaney, who's the founder of Brownie Points, based in Queensland, Australia. And today we're going to be discussing maximising the investment in your people. So thanks for your time, Tony.
Michael, thank you for inviting me to speak on this, what I think is a vital topic for all businesses.
Absolutely, we'll definitely agree there. And so off air, we're just reminiscing about when we first met. So it was over sort of 10 years ago, and I think, as you say, it was an introduction from somebody in Melbourne that we both knew, where you used to be based before you went to the warmer climate up in Queensland. So we've known each other a while, but, recent times haven't had much contact. So it's good to catch up and talk about this topic, which I think for any business is so important, and particularly for small businesses. So tell our audience a bit about yourself and your experience on this topic, mate.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Very quick background. I was born in the UK, moved to Australia just over 20 years ago, and came in on a business visa that my wife applied for. And I'd been in the software business for 25 years. And I was always on the sales side, and I'd worked for a lot of managers, many of which didn't appreciate my contribution. They typically took the glory. They had no concerns for my aspirations, desires, and motivations. But the good ones really stood out because they focused on me and what motivated me, not on the sales targets. And invariably, those that focused on my motivations were the ones that got the best out of me. So I knew that I could do something. At the time, I had no idea about engagement or reward and recognition. But in 2013, I saw a business for sale called Brownie Points. When I looked online, it was nothing more than a long service award. So it was, Michael, you've been with the company 5 years, choose a gift off this page. It was awful. It was very un-user-friendly. So I just sat on it for a couple of years. And then I got a contact via the website. And to this date, the client can't remember how he found us. But it was a small business in Victoria. They were called First Contact, and they were a concierge company. So they had 50 people who sat in reception desks in office blocks. So when you walk into a corporate office, there's a desk there. It was their people. And they'd been using a paper-based reward and recognition tool. So they had points-based behaviors. They had a small paper-based catalog, and they allowed their colleagues to give recognition to each other. They'd done a survey on the program and scored really badly for a number of reasons, but the main one being that it wasn't online, it wasn't instant, and the staff didn't feel that they were part of the program. So they looked around and they were astonished at the price of what were then reward and recognition platforms. And they were being quoted $2,000, $3,000 a month. And they said, look, we're 50 people, we can't afford anything like that. So they contacted me. I said, look, we don't have a platform, but I'll come and talk to you. And I went to see them. And the end result was that 3 months later, Brownie Points version 1 appeared on the streets. It was nothing more than a glorified spreadsheet with behaviors in it, allowing clients to set up points and an online catalog of rewards. So we went from that to today, almost 10 years later, to a full recognition platform. And I always differentiate now. I don't call Brownie Points the reward and recognition platform. It is a recognition platform that allows for rewards. And that's important because all of the experts tell you that recognition is far more important than reward. Rewards have a place, but recognition, especially peer recognition, is far more important. So today we have a full function platform with a huge range of features, 200 clients or so, and we're becoming recognized in the industry as one of the experts in how to motivate and inspire employees. And this is particularly so post-COVID, where the work environment has changed so much, particularly with hybrid workers. More recently, I've got involved with speaking engagements, and in June this year, I spoke at an RE conference, the Australian Institute for Human Resources, and that I was a co-host there, speaking for how to include or inclusion and being part of a team in the new hybrid way of working. So that's a very quick run through of the background of Brownie Points.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting journey to date, mate. And I think the point you made about recognition first and foremost is critical, because that can take the form of many things, even as simply as, you know, it might be in a weekly team meeting, just recognising people for their contribution or something they've done.
Exactly, and it should start from the verbal communication as well. You know, whether you have a platform or not, telling somebody they've done a great job, thanking them for what they've done, face to face is great. Doing it in front of a team is even better, because everybody then gets to understand why somebody has been recognised. So there is a lot of power in the presentation of feedback as well.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. So, I mean, obviously, Brownie Points as a platform to support the process of recognition. So, sort of leading into that, what's some sort of tips for our listeners you can sort of provide them as far as how to recognise, when to recognise, and even who to recognise?
Okay. Let me step back from that and say, for me, valuing your employees is not a new age thing or a nice to have. It is absolutely essential for business. Absolutely. It doesn't matter whether it's a large business or a small business. If you don't look after your staff, they will walk. And I'll give you an example of a situation a couple of years ago. I went to see a company in Sydney. I won't name them. They had about 500 employees. And on their website, in bold letters, it said, "Our staff are our most valuable assets." Now, I personally don't like that term, because assets to me signify that there's something that can be burnt out and written off. And probably that's how this company viewed them, to be honest. Because when I asked the CEO about how they looked after their staff, he said, "Well, we pay them." And that was it. And I said, "Oh, that's fine. What's your staff turnover?" And for an employer of 500 people, their turnover was 30%, which was ridiculous. So they weren't practicing what they preached. So a lot of organizations post-COVID, and Gallup in particular, have been saying that employees are now on the move. Because during COVID, most people stayed where they were. They're now starting to look. So if you're not looking after your staff, you're not motivating them, and you don't have a strategy for staff retention, the danger is you're going to lose your best people. And there are all sorts of surveys out there, but I've heard that up to 80% of employees say they get very little recognition and they're considering moving on. And if you think about it, and this is how I like to view employees, they are your only competitive advantage. Everything else can be copied. Products, pricing, marketing, location. People can copy all of that. They can't copy your people. And if your people are passionate about what they do and your company and your corporate vision, they will add to your brand and really make your business tick. So, you know, when you get organizations like Gallup talking about the cost of retaining staff, or recruiting staff, is anything up to 150% of somebody's salary, then it's an expensive process. And for a small organization, you know, if 30 people, if you're losing, say, 5 people a year, that can be very expensive. And I'll just give you an example. If you had a situation with a 30-person company where their average salary was $50,000 a year, and they had a 20% turnover of staff, the actual cost would be around $450,000. Now, that's based on a variety of things, but if you think about when you have to recruit somebody, so you've got the cost of advertising, interviewing, recruitment fees, onboarding, time to get up to speed, lost business opportunities, other staff becoming overworked, lost customer relationships. That's where that sort of money comes in. And smaller organizations in particular are at risk. If they lose their top talent, typically they will be people that have been with the organization for a long time, and they will have very strong relationships with the clients and a lot of intellectual property. So if they walk out of the door, your business could be at risk, particularly as an SME.
Yeah, those stats you mentioned are fairly scary, aren't they? But and you hear them often and the like. But gee whiz, how many business owners just ignore the importance of their people? It still staggers me. Some are very good at it, but I think it's the old bullshit line. I'm too busy for that. Well, if you're too busy for that, you'll get what you ask for at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And so that recognition is just one of the key bits to retaining and keeping your people happy, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And the more I get involved with Brownie Points, and I've been here 10 years doing this, the more passionate I am about not the technology, but the philosophy, because every business is a people business. Whether it's a hotel and the brand starts with the concierge at the front door, or you're a manufacturer and the brand starts with the person on the telephone picking the phone up, they represent your brand. And if they're not passionate, positive, engaged, motivated, whatever you want to call it, it comes through. I'm sure you have been visiting clients in the past or had a conversation with somebody where you can tell they're not motivated. And it really, for me, it gives a very poor feeling. And I will often, for example, if I'm in a store and I feel that the staff member isn't motivated, I'll go somewhere else, take my business somewhere else. And we can all do that. And we all want to feel, as employees, to feel appreciated and valued. It's a basic instinct. So it doesn't have to cost a lot. It's almost basic manners. Just saying thank you to somebody. I appreciate what you've done. You've really helped me there. It makes the giver feel good, and it makes the recipient feel good. So it's very much an ongoing thing that if you build a culture of appreciation in an organization where people feel comfortable giving feedback and getting feedback, it does have a very powerful effect on the bottom line. And ultimately, this is what I believe Brownie Points is about. It's not about just having a recognition platform to make people feel good. It ultimately is a business improvement tool.
Want to become the best manager you can be? Check out our Kick-Ass Manager course at growasmallbusiness.com. Do the course and add your fellow managers for no extra cost. Join the 30%. 70% of people quit their job because of their manager.
Yeah, and I guess part of that is the process that it brings, because I get that with recognition, you're in the whirlwind around the business and everybody's doing what they do. You can sort of sometimes overlook the recognition and just, recognising wins as a business. I think we're all can be guilty of that. So I think that sort of comes back to the process. And having a platform like Brownie Points obviously would be part of the process.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that more and more, that really Brownie Points is a positive behavior reinforcement platform. So it shouldn't stop the verbal communication of saying thank you. It shouldn't stop the manager standing up in front of the team and recognizing somebody for doing something, but it positively reinforces that online. And the key is really to have a program, whether it's Brownie Points or another platform, that allows you to give timely recognition, because it's proven that the longer you leave it to recognize somebody or thank somebody, the less value it has to the recipient. So it may be that you have an employee of the quarter, but you need to be building up towards that. So it needs to be timely, it needs to be sincere, and it needs to be appropriate. And I believe, best of all, it needs to be broadcast across the organization. So if you have a program where you have key behaviors, and let's say they happen to be your corporate values, and that's where a lot of our clients start, giving peer recognition for seeing a colleague living a corporate value, that's very powerful in its own right. But then for other employees to be able to see that on what we call the wall of fame, to see that Tony has given Michael a recognition for teamwork, and they can click on it and see exactly what the details were, and you can like it and you can make comments on it. That is proven to be a very powerful motivator.
Yeah, that's great. I like that concept, wall of fame, and I think that's sort of using your values as the example, recognising those, keeping them front of mind. Just, I guess, brings out the values throughout the business, which is all big part of your culture, right?
Absolutely. And I think the other part of this is, and I stress this a lot to particularly the smaller organizations that we deal with, and also the not-for-profits, and we have a lot of not-for-profit clients, is that if you put a platform in place, you don't have to spend a fortune on rewards. I mean, you can be quite creative about rewards. You know, they can be what I call internal. So they could be intrinsic, but if you want physical rewards, it could be half a day's paid leave for somebody to go and do voluntary work. It could be gym membership or yoga classes. So things to make people feel good and really improve their well-being as well as their motivation, because that's the other key part, that during COVID and post-COVID, there's been a lot of burnout. And therefore, if you have recognition tied into well-being, then you have a very powerful story to tell. So rewards don't have to cost a fortune. And if I give examples of a number of hotels that I have as clients, they will give rewards that might be just a coffee voucher and a cake voucher or afternoon tea. So they can be very low cost.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing. It doesn't have to be a costly exercise, does it? As far as the recognition, and if you have rewards involved, I think it's like you're saying, it's the principle that it brings, and I think, like you mentioned earlier, it's like a human need in many ways, isn't it? When you sort of get to the core of it.
It is, and the other thing is, a lot of our clients have monthly or quarterly employee of the month. Now that's fine. My personal take on that is, if you have one winner, you have 50 losers.
Yeah.
But I think there are reasons why you can highlight somebody that has done something absolutely special. Maybe you don't call them employee of the month, but something else. So I think there is a place for giving star treatment to somebody who's done something exceptional. But that's all part of a program, and we help our clients to design the program, both in terms of the cost effectiveness of it, the rewards. To give you an example, a lot of our clients will set up peer recognition with what we call social capability. In other words, it's just positive feedback, no points associated with it, but it allows people to give those as often as they like. And then more business-focused behaviors, maybe only managers can give them. And a couple of examples would be, if somebody has a recruitment policy where you give a reward to somebody who's referred a new hire and you've saved recruitment costs, then there's a significant benefit to the business there. So you might give somebody a small fraction of that recruitment cost saving. Or if you're a hotel, somebody might bring in a booking for a party or a wedding, and they're not part of food and beverage. Again, those have real business benefits. So those are the types of platforms and programs that we often see with our clients, that there'll be mass recognition at peer level and business-focused recognition from a manager perspective. So therefore, the cost savings that you see from the managers will offset the cost of external rewards.
Yeah, no, very good. And I think ultimately, and you hear, numbers around this and studies done, and it's pretty conclusive that, salary and financial remuneration is important, but it certainly doesn't rank at the top for employees. And I think the recognition is all what they seek at the end of the day, in addition to their salary and other aspects of employment. And I guess that brings more engaged employees that then lead to other aspects, might be, less sick leave, stay longer, more productive, whatever it is. But
absolutely. And I think post-COVID, that's become even more so, because a lot of organizations now have hybrid workers. So inclusion is becoming a key phrase. How do you make sure that somebody who is working from home feels part of the team, or they're working from home but in the office at certain times? I mean, my daughter's just started a new job where she's going to be in the office certain days of the week, but other staff are in different days of the week, so they never meet, or very rarely meet. So how do you get that spirit back that we had post-COVID? The conversations around the coffee machine or the water cooler. It's really important to look at your whole employee base and say, am I doing enough for everybody in the organisation, whether they're working from home, hybrid, or fully in the office, or on the road? And again, we like to think with Brownie Points that we've helped there, because we have, like I said, quite a number of not-for-profit clients and hotel clients, and we have a full mobile app so that their staff who are not sitting in front of a computer for most of the day can still give and receive recognition, which, as I said a few minutes ago, timely recognition given and received is very, very powerful.
Yeah, no, very good. I think we could talk all day on this topic, and I think just to wrap up, one of the points you mentioned earlier about your people, depending on the business, obviously, but being a part of your competitive advantage and your points of difference. But so actually valuing that, and I guess at Grow a Small Business, we understand and appreciate that, and so our business transformation program is very much focused on people on those aspects. So for our listeners, jump on over to our website and have a look at that. But Tony, just to wrap up, what's at least one thing you'd recommend a small business owner does based on this conversation?
Okay, I would say if they took one thing away from this, it would be focus on your people. Get to know what motivates them, what makes them passionate, make them feel included in your corporate vision so that they're all heading in the same direction, and keep them informed of as much as you can about how the business is performing, because people want to feel that they're part of something. So making them feel part of a bigger picture is absolutely key. As I said, everything else can be copied. So if you look after your staff, you're likely to have a very strong business, and really encourage your colleagues to give positive feedback, whether or not there's a platform there. Just get people into the swing of doing it. And it's sometimes difficult to do that because we're not all good at giving feedback, particularly positive feedback. A lot of us, are very good at criticizing, but very rarely will give the positive feedback. Mm-hmm. So if you can do that with or without a platform, that should make a difference. And really, just make your employees feel part of what you're trying to do. And I guarantee that if you do that as a minimum, as I said, with or without a platform underneath it, you will see a difference in your brand value. And as you've just said, that will reflect in lower staff turnover, lower sick days, fewer sick days, higher productivity, and a better customer experience. And all of those things will have a positive impact on your bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. Some nice, simple tip. Thanks, mate. And I think for small business owners, make it a priority. Don't say haven't got enough time, because if you say that, then it's going to be self-fulfilling, right? So
absolutely.
Appreciate your time, Tony. It's been a great...
One final point, Michael, that if anybody wants any further information, they can email us at info@browniepoints.com.au, I'm happy to have a no obligation conversation with anybody. And if they want to have a look at the platform, more than happy to set up a demonstration to do so.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. We'll put that in the show notes for everybody. So thanks for that offer.
Michael, thank you. It's been great to talk to you. And I look forward to seeing you next time I'm down in Hobart.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Want to help other small business owners improve their business? There's one quick thing you can do, which is jump over to iTunes and leave a review. Or if you don't have an account, follow us on Spotify.